In this video, I'll show you how to install openclaw in under 10 minutes in a solution that costs less than $25 a month, and you won't need to buy a Mac Mini. As you know, openclaw has gone viral. It's an AI agent that can actually do things, but unless you configure it correctly, it can pose significant security problems. A good solution is to use a virtual private server, but one that's configured with best practice security hardwired into the VM. For this video, I'll use DigitalOcean. Let's jump straight into the training. The first thing we need to do is to set up our virtual private server. We'll use DigitalOcean, and I'll leave a link in the comments below. After you register on this site, you'll come to a page like this, and we need to create a new virtual machine. So click create here. We're going to create a droplet. As we can see here, there's a number of different regions that we can choose to deploy our virtual server. I'll choose Sydney, which is closest to me, and that should minimize any latency time. So scroll to a bit further down, you'll see Marketplace. Click on that, and what we want to choose is openclaw when the option comes up. So just search for openclaw, and this has already come up here. And that is the one we're going to choose. If we keep scrolling further down, for our exercise, I would recommend just choosing the bare minimum, which, as you can see, it's under $25 a month, so $24 a month, and that's a great deal or a great bargain for what we want to achieve. If you keep scrolling a bit further, we do need to choose an authentication mechanism. I highly recommend you set up an SSH key. You could just use a password, but it is much more secure if you have an SSH key set up. It's very easy to set up. All you do is you follow the instructions on the right hand side. It gives you a command that you'll execute in your command prompt. It will generate a public key in a specific directory that's outlined here, and you copy that public key into this section here. As I've already got this set up, I'll use my existing SSH key, and I'll create the instance that we've just invoked. As we can see now, the instance is being created, and it'll take a couple of minutes to spin up a new instance. Before we start to configure openclaw, we need to make sure it's got access to an LLM, a large language model, because openclaw itself doesn't have that contained within it. It needs to call an external service for that large language model. There's going to be three options that are available to us when we set up openclaw. Anthropic Claude is a popular option. For the sake of this exercise, we'll just use that service. I know some people are using their subscriptions to hook it up with openclaw. That actually contravenes Anthropic's usage policies. So I think it's better just to use their designated API gateway, which is what they want you to use. I'll leave a link to the description of the video. Please follow that link and set up an API key. Once you've set up your account with Anthropic, you'll come to a dashboard similar to this, and what we need to do is we need to create a new key that openclaw will use. So just come in here, create a brand new key, give it a name, and make sure you copy this key, because after you've created it, you won't be able to see it again. Now that we're ready to set up openclaw, let's get started. All of the instructions you need to set up openclaw is actually in this link here. So just click on this link, and it'll give you all of the detailed instructions you need to configure openclaw. I've got a command prompt opened on the right hand side here, so it's easy for us to follow through all of the instructions. The first thing we need to do is to SSH into that server that we've just created. And as you can see there, you put in the IP address of the new server that you've just created. And what it's saying here is our machine doesn't actually know about this server, and it's asking us, do you want to continue? And because it's the first time, we say yes. And it's now asking for our password. So I'll just put that in now. Okay, it's accepted the password. This is our welcome screen. It's really important that you have a good look through this because there's some really important information on this screen. There's a couple of files that we're going to be editing a bit later on. So these are the two files that are critical, the environment file as well as the user configuration file. But as part of this onboarding process, it's saying to us, well, which LLM are you going to use? And the one that we've chosen is Anthropic, which is number 3. And now we need to go back to our key that we had, and I'm just going to paste in the Anthropic key that we created earlier on. Come in here, paste that in. It said it's registered the Anthropic key, and what it's saying now is there's an extra security measure that the latest version of openclaw has, and it needs to pair with our browser. So I recommend, rather than doing manual pairing, you go ahead and you do the automated pairing. Go yes. And what it's telling us here is we need to open this browser session, and when we open it, it is going to give us an error, but that's what's expected. So let's open that. So the error that we're expecting has come up, and we just say continue after we see the error, and the pairing has been complete. So that's great news. Now, after we refresh the dashboard, we should be able to see that openclaw is now set up. What we can see here is openclaw is now online. As part of the onboarding process, it's going to ask you a number of questions, and these questions are really designed so it can try and figure out how it can help you better. You can give it a name, you can do it, tell it how you want it to behave, and a number of other things. But one important feature that it needs is the ability to search the internet, and the way it does that is through a API service. The one that I'm using is Brave Search. It's a pretty good service. I think you get about 2,000 searches a month for free. If you want to use a different service, by all means, go ahead and do that. But Brave is the one I'm using. And after you've registered on that service, you need to create an API key. So after you go ahead, go into Brave, click on the API section, create a brand new key. To enable the search functionality, there's two files that we need to edit. So let's go ahead and do that now. The first one, if you scroll up on the console, is this environment file. And this is the file that it told us about earlier on. So just make a copy of that. And then we're going to go down into the console, use your favorite editor. Mine is Nano. Excellent. So this is the file that has all of the environment variables in it, and this is where we're going to put the API key for our search API. So I've just scrolled down to the bottom of that file, putting in my API key, and I will output that, Control O. It'll write out to that file, and I will exit out of that file. Now the second file we need to edit is our configuration file. In our welcome page, we saw that it tells us where the configuration file is. So just scroll up to that section. We can see the configuration file is here. Take a copy of that. Open up your editor. Put that in. Excellent. So that is our user configuration file. Now, how this works is when openclaw is invoking the search, it's doing it within a sandbox environment. So what we need to do is we need to inject that environment variable into that sandbox environment. I've got a sample configuration here, so we'll just go ahead and copy that into our config file, just making sure it's in the right spot. And I guess the important thing as well is to make sure we have it well formed. So just look for under network bridge, go into the editor here, okay. So I'm just formatting this a little bit better. It looks like this should work. So go ahead and save it. I've just asked it if it can search the internet, and great news, it can search the internet. This is going to be a very useful feature for you to be able to get stuff done. I'll leave you guys to configure your agent yourself. If you've found this video useful, please do like and subscribe. The next video I publish will be to show you how to configure a different LLM. What I found is Claude is fantastic. It's probably one of the best, but it can be very expensive as well. So in my next video, I will show you how to configure a brand new LLM. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.